It was against my PR team's wishes that I released this video, but I felt that it was very necessary that I'm just kidding. I just wanted to do like a little bit more of a relaxed, freeform style video. I came home to Hybrid making an entire podcast about this. So I listened to a little bit of it and I was like, okay, no, I'm doing a video. So for those of y'all who don't keep up very heavily with everything that goes on in powerlifting, first of all, good on you. But just to set some context, this weekend there was yet another meet where the judging was questionable. And first of all, how many meets do we have to have with questionable judging until like the judging just gets better overall? So those of you who may not know, there are two ways a call can be put into question. It is if it's too strict to where it goes beyond the requirements of the federation, or it is too loose and it creates a judging known as a gift that some people may feel like the lifter did not deserve because they were granted a white light. I'm gonna tell y'all right now, I think an undeserved red is worse than an undeserved white, because not only does that create a poor experience for the lifter, it also creates a poor experience for the spectator when you watch a lift that went super well, that was super cool to watch, and you are convinced that it will be white lighted just for it to be red lighted. Very frustrating. Mostly only happens in the USAPL. People felt that some lifters were granted white light. And you guys will figure out my stance on this very quickly. My first question when talking about gifted lifts or just questionable calls in general is, how would we know about this without social media? And how much of this is purely because of social media? Would we care if someone was granted a lift if they didn't have a big social media following? Probably not. Do I feel that when lifters with big followings get a granted lift, that they need to acknowledge it via social media? No. Like, can you imagine, like, OBJ catches a football in the end zone, does not get 2 feet down in the end zone, but he still is granted because it's off by just a hair? Do you think he's gonna go on social media and be like, you know, got a couple lucky calls, but you know, like, these are people paid millions of dollars. Like, that does not happen in any other sport, that we are expected to put so much of the onus on the participants. If someone's following a powerlifter on social media, chances are they're either already very familiar with the rules of most credible powerlifting federations, or they're undergoing the process of familiarizing themselves with those rules. In other words, we all have eyes, okay? We can see when a call is obviously unfair one way or the other. They see it, they know, you know, I certainly fucking know because of all the comments. So what's the point? Why do you need to point it out? Who is that for? And another point I have is going on social media and complaining about it and calling out the lifter in question who got the granted lift, is that the best way to go about everything? Like any other corporation, there's a hierarchy of leadership. What do you do when you see a meet where a lot of the calls are questionable? Not just one or two, because that's going to happen, but where it seems to be a pretty consistent issue. You message the meet director or you message the state chair. I cannot communicate the ease to which it is to get a hold of your state chair in USPA or USAPL, probably RPS as well. You reach out, you say, hey, you can probably just DM on Instagram, and you say, hey, I noticed a lot of weird calls at this meet. And if you must use social media, you just say, hey guys, if you were at the meet or you saw footage from the meet and you saw some whack judging, please email or DM this person and bring it to their attention. They say, okay, who were the judges on the day? And they can take it up with those judges and say, hey, you keep making weird calls, may not be a ref anymore. Like, it's like, I can't communicate how simple that is, as opposed to calling someone out on social media. The thing is, to me, like, and I know this is going to sound like so rah and like whatever, but to me, when you do that, you're just putting negativity just out there in the ether, and other people are absorbing that negativity. People are reading those posts, and now you're making them feel a type of way about it, or you're making that person and all of their followers feel some type of way. And now I'm making a video and like 20 people are gonna watch it and they're gonna feel away all because you had to get upset on social media over something that really, in my opinion, does not affect the sport. One argument is that things like this make powerlifting hard for spectators. Look, there's a lot of aspects about powerlifting that make it hard for spectators. I promise the occasional bad call by a ref is definitely not it. I think it's very low on the list. And to be honest, if I see a lifter really grind and fight hard for a rep and maybe make a slight technical error and still get 2 whites, I'm gonna feel pretty okay about it. I'm gonna feel like they earned it. Someone having a very clean lift and getting 2 reds. Another question is, do calls like this affect the growth of the sport? Again, I don't think so. I understand that people want to compete in a sport where there are standards and people have to follow them, especially in a sport like powerlifting that is subjectively easy. I think strict judging is awesome. And that's only because as a coach who really hammers in depth on squats, good pauses on bench, avoiding any kind of hitching or anything that could possibly look like a hitch in the lockout and deadlift. As a coach who really hammers in technique, there's nothing more frustrating than when a lifter of mine sees, let's say, a high squat in competition pass. Like, that is so frustrating. Like, every PR or whatever, I'm gonna be like, awesome, I'm so happy we're comfortable with this weight, but next time we really gotta sink it. Like, I'm looking like such a buzzkill because I'm really hammering this in when there are coaches who are just straight up not following the rules. I don't want y'all to think I'm all like loosey-goosey about this stuff. And honestly, in terms of growth of the sport, I think we have plenty of competitors at this point. What I would like to see is the quality of meets go up, and for there to actually be like local meets, regional meets, and nationals. And I would like for more structure so that these meets, while they have a similar amount of competitors, they are more important. The stakes are higher. So bottom line, I really don't think it's a big deal when a lifter is gifted a lift, and I don't think they need to acknowledge it. I think we're all smart enough to where we can see a gifted lift and know that it was a gift. Or if some of us aren't smart enough to see that, we will eventually. So again, shit happens. You know, players jump the snap, players go out of bounds, players flop, players travel all the time. And if a ref doesn't notice it, I think you'll be hard pressed to find any professional athlete who points it out at the end of the game in the press conference. And I don't think powerlifting should be any different. So that's just my opinion. Let me know what y'all think, and I'll catch y'all in that next one.